Okay, so yeah, and we're live. Right now I'm just testing my phone out, testing all the angles out. And right now I'm about to, actually I've already started engaging in sun gazing. And yeah, so in this video I'm gonna sun gaze live, and while I sun gaze I'm gonna share with you some of the thoughts that I have while I do this, some of the downloads that I get while I do it, and just anything that passes through my mind. I'm just gonna basically use myself as a medium, and everything is gonna be unscripted. I'll only do this video one time. If I mess up, I'm not gonna do it again. So whatever you get here is purely what came to me. And yeah, so that's how everything's gonna happen in this video. It's basically a live sun gazing video, and I guess you can view it as mediumship, just me communicating with the sun, just me and the sun. And yeah, I'm gonna let you in on, I guess, a lot of like what I get spontaneously, and also like the thoughts that like my whole mindset, the way things come to me, why I think the way that I do in a lot of things. So yeah, that's how it's gonna go. So let's get started. All right, so right now I have a really, I'm not gonna say angry, but I'm gonna say excited, active sea behind me. Very, very strong waves. I actually just lost my shoes because the waves came over the beach, and I'm sitting in like a lawn chair, a beach chair, and I saw the wave coming, approaching me really fast. I had to just pick all my stuff up so that the waves wouldn't wet all of my belongings up in my bag. But in the process, I lost my shoes. They're over that way in the water. And I'm not gonna go out and get them. I'm not gonna go into that water and get them. So right now it's a Sunday for me. I finally got some sunshine. It's been lots of clouds. Weather quite unpredictable lately. And yeah, today it was forecasted to be very cloudy today, but surprisingly it's not too bad. So I think it's going to be a good day to get some real good energy and share with you what I get, my downloads, my thoughts, my interpretations of what I get, and just talk about just the overall conditions of the world, even if that is what comes to me. So where shall I start with this? Okay, well, with sun gazing, when I sun gaze, I get information that like all types of information that comes to me, and I don't really know what I'm gonna get unless I sun gaze with like some type of intent. And I've learned that I can sharpen my focus. By sharpening my focus, I can get specific things to come to me, specific answers, or specific information that I interpret the best that I can. It's sometimes things come to me and it's crystal clear to me as far as the interpretation that I feel that I need to interpret from the information. And sometimes I'll be seeking knowledge and I'll read a book. I'll read multiple books. And I know that sungazing is a very good way to help you critically think, tie ideas together. So sometimes I could read multiple books that are just totally unrelated to one another, like books from just uh, very varied topics that are just very far apart, totally unrelated. And after I sungaze, some things get tied together, and sometimes they don't come to me right away. Sometimes they come to me in a dream. Sometimes they come to me the next day. Sometimes they come to me days later. And the reason why I know that they came to me from days later is because I asked for that information, or I focused on that information, and days later it came to me spontaneously. So today, the conditions of the world. How about I talk about that a little bit? Nowadays, I avoid watching the news because I realize that a lot of the news is it's kind of a brainwashing. It's kind of to push you to one way or another, to get you to think a certain way. I'm learning that life is quite the chess game, and I realize that I'm a pawn. But I think that the power that I get in realizing that I'm a pawn is tremendous power in just realizing that you're a pawn. Because if you're a pawn and you don't know that you're a pawn, you know it doesn't matter. But once you realize you're a pawn, you become really, really powerful. So I try to learn and know who my kings and queens are, or the other hierarchy. And I know media is one of those types of hierarchies. So I'm really selective on what I allow myself to watch. For example, we have quite a bit of turmoil and confusion and chaos this year, and it's projected through the news. And it's various things. There's things related to the situation with the. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it because I know they're censoring. And the issues with civil unrest and things like this. And a lot of that is perpetuated through the news and through the media. Like they can really control the narrative. They have lots of power in controlling the narrative. And a lot of us, is really sad to see. And I see it through my social media. And sometimes that gets really depressing looking at it. Day after day I go to social media looking for just, something, just some really good news about just people, I go to social media to see what you're doing with your family and see, something good that you did. You made something, you created something, just really just good things, good natural things. But then you go through it, it's just a bunch of political opinions and people, doing that type of thing. And it really kind of burns you out. And where was I going with this? Yeah, the media has tremendous power in getting it. Like if they wanted to, they could really get the world to calm down and to be a lot happier. And I realized that my social media is a reflection of what the world is being fed, so that they're projecting it back out. So I'm real careful on what I feed myself in regards to media and things like this. And yeah, speaking of that, The present situation in the world, the big elephant sitting in the room. I don't want to call it by name, since the censorship stuff. So I'm not gonna, put that word in my video, I guess. But yeah, I think there's some type of master plan going on with that. I did a video earlier this year. I forget the name. It was a two-part video where I talked about the present situation when it first started happening around February. And I talked about astrology and how it all, how the astrology of it was lining up. You can learn a lot about what something really is through looking at the astrology at the time when everything just jumped off. And if you remember that video, there were a bunch of planets in Capricorn. Capricorn's like government and that type of thing. It's like some type of rulership and structure. And a bunch of planets were there. And Pluto is one of the planets. Oh my God, this wave just washed over. I don't want it to wet my stuff. But yeah, I saw that Pluto is in Capricorn. Pluto aligned with Saturn. Saturn is like, it's also like heavy government too. And yeah, there's some big players that came together, and they had some big meetings, and some big plans were being made, or some big plans really jumped off at that time, based on the astrology of it. And my interpretation of it is it's actual people planning and plotting, having a big plan for the world. I think it's some major players out there. I guess the kings and the queens, if you want to compare this to a chess game, as I made the analogy earlier. And with that, I think it's real important for everyone to really stay watchful and really stay aware of everything. Really, I don't think we can take our eyes off the ball nowadays. I think we really have to know what's going on so that we can see what's happening before it happens. And what I fear is like some type of major loss of freedom and restriction in the world. And I think a lot of other people are feeling the same way, and they see this. And as I've seen in other YouTubers that I watch, we can't, as they have said, we can't be silent. One of the worst things we can do is be silent. And also one of the worst things that we can do is just take our eyes off the ball and not be informed of what's going on. Because if we do that, the next thing we know, we're going to all be locked down. We're in some crazy situation that we don't want to be in, and we're wondering how we got there. Well, we know how we got there, by not saying anything and not doing anything. And the situation is really tricky, because people are concerned about their health, and they're concerned about whether things are real or not real, or if they're really serious or not so serious. So it's quite the tricky situation. So I think the only thing we can do is really focus, pay attention, and look for whoever's behind these types of things to trip up. And when they trip up, we know it's some type of setup. We know it's some type of deception. And that way we can stand together, because it's all about us unifying. Right now there's a big divide and conquer going on. And that's how you take over a group of people, or take over a world, a nation, or whatever. Divide and conquer. It's been done over and over in history, and we need to pay attention and not let that happen. And when we see, like right now, there's like, what's the divide right now? The divide is the civil unrest. That's one diversion and division. The civil unrest. The other diversion is what's going on. It started early this year. I don't want to say the word. You know what I'm talking about. That's a big diversion, because it is made way worse than it actually is. And even it looks like numbers have been manipulated big time. So we need to really stay on that and stay vigilant with that and watch how that is playing out. And what else? What else is a diversion? There's in my country, there's an election, and yeah, it looks like something really this whole thing, the whole situation has turned into it has turned into they're using it. It has become politicized. They've turned it into a political thing, and I feel that if this year was not a political year, this situation wouldn't be happening nearly as bad as it has gone. Things wouldn't be as crazy as they have gotten. The world over, not just in my country, but the world over. Things are crazy in other parts of the world, in other countries. So we really need to keep our eye on the ball. And what I mean by keeping our eye on the ball is that, like, once we see that there's something off, or there's some type of deception going on, and there's like some type of master plan to strip away the average common man's freedom. Because a lot of us, if you look at the world, it's like we're just kind of, if you like compare this to like medieval times or something, we're not the royalty. We're like the peasants and the common workers and the people like that who just follow. And my fear is that the people that we trust to take care of us, they don't have our best intentions in mind. So I think it's really important that we stay focused and look for inaccuracies in the information. And who is the royalty? Like, I don't really want to start like calling names about who royalty is. And it's easy to say that it's, the super rich or these types of people. It's easy to call them out. And I think it's even kind of unfair to call them out just because they're super rich. Because I know a lot of these people work extremely hard to get to where they are. And I think it's unfair to call them out and say that they're against us because they're super rich and we don't really know their position and what they're doing with all of their riches. But there are a few super rich people that are making some really strange moves all at the same time, simultaneously. And it really raises your eyebrow. And I don't want to specifically call people out, and I don't want to call any names because, the whole censorship thing. But, the one person that I'm alluding to here, and everybody was on him all the way from the beginning. Everybody's questioning his intentions right from the beginning. And then, you fast forward to lately, there's people just like implanting things in animal brains and things like this. And I guess with the intent to do this to humans, there's a lot of, strange things going on. I think we need to really focus and keep our eye on the ball and know who's governing us, who's running things, or else later on down the line, not even that far down the line, but it could be like, a couple of years later, we could be in a situation, some crazy situation where we're basically prisoners. And when I say prisoners, I mean we're doing things that we do not want to do. We're having to take things that we don't want to take. We're having to put changes in our bodies that we don't want to change. And basically that's a form of slavery. And I worry that we all will be in some type of situation like that, and we'll wonder how we got there. And we'll know how we got there. We got there because we stayed quiet. We got there because we didn't unify. Unity is the big thing here. Because no matter how powerful whoever's ruling over us is, our numbers are way more powerful. Remember, the divide and conquer is the worst thing here. If the more we're divided, the weaker we become. So all I'm saying is keep your eye on the ball. Do not stay quiet. Speak your heart. Speak your mind. And unify. Stop all this petty bickering about things that don't matter. Unify. Or I fear we could be in a place where we don't want to be in the future. This world will be a place that we don't want it to be. So enough about that. That was a big rant that came to me in that moment. So yeah, I've been wondering lately a lot about existence and what existence is. And I had a download come to me not that long ago. Again, I was doing some heavy reading about the state of science, the states of science, and how they've evolved over like the past hundreds of years. And the current paradigm right now in regards to science is tied to topics like quantum mechanics. And I want to talk deeper into that in the future, because I think that is like very important in how the world is changing so fast and so quickly. And I think I have some really important and interesting things to say in regards to that. I'm gonna drop a video pretty soon about that. I just have to really get myself together, and yeah, I'm gonna organize that. I don't think I should randomly just talk about those types of things, because they're pretty heavy. And yeah, this year, the end of this year, the 21st, December 21st to be exact, it's supposed to be some type of big time, astrologically speaking. There's an alignment of, I think it's Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius. So expect the unexpected late this year. And my guess is that it'll be something highly politically charged, and yet something very unusual and unexpected. So keep your eyes out leading up to that point, leading up to December. And 2020 is not yet finished. 2020 is going to be wild all the way through. So don't think things are just going to become easy because the year's almost done. It's going to stay intense. It looks like it's going to be intense all the way into 2021. And so I've been, like, my channel, things I talk about here is, I think, are the gifts that I was gifted from the universe. And I'm a work in progress. Like, I'm really developing myself daily. And I think I think the best is very far from here. I think I have to build in order to get to my better days. I think my better days are really ahead, and as far as what I have to give to the world, the universe, and the things I talk about, and what I know. I've been living my life and having my experiences that humble me, just humbling experience after humbling experience. And I think it's a process to put me into place to do my bigger mission in life. And I think a part of that is a teacher. And I am a teacher by trade, but I think what I'm teaching now is not ultimately what I will be teaching or what I'm supposed to be teaching. And I think it's like a setup. It's the platform for what's to come later. Because once upon a time, actually not that long ago, I had a very, very difficult time expressing my mind, expressing myself to anyone, let alone a group of people, just, even one-on-one communication. But I think the position that I've been in lately, like the past decade, has really equipped me to be more confident and to speak my mind, even if I don't really like how my voice sounds or like how I worded myself. I think the most important thing is that I have the confidence to put the energy out there. And what I have realized not too long ago was that, and I'm speaking from the point of view of like other lives, next lifetimes, because a lot of what I've seen in life and just with the learning the esoteric sciences and getting that knowledge and watching it and seeing how it plays out and looking at the patterns of it, I've learned and I'm learning that after I learned this, it really became important to me to really put huge amounts of effort into my life now and the things that I do, all parts of it, because I'm not working for just my life now. I'm working for my life past this life. So I don't think, like, even like the end of my physical life, when I'm old and tired or whatever, I don't see that as like the end, the resting years, or the point where everything's all finished and I'm just waiting to die. I see that as just, it's just a continuation of right now. Right now I feel really strong. My mind's pretty good. And I'm gonna really keep working all the way through, even to the point where my mind's not good and I don't feel that strong. And even when we get to that point, I will still be heavily communicating with other parts of myself, of my soul. I'll probably become really deeply ingrained into spirituality. I guess that's what old people do. You know, from what I've seen, my own observations, old people, they tend to get all really religious later in life. And I always wondered about that. Like, why do old people suddenly get religious? You know, in the beginning, you know, prior to that, you know, it's, you know, everything's so hopeful and things like this, really focus on this life and the things in this lifetime, and just, you know, having fun and, you know, the human experience. And then, you know, the further they get into life, then they start thinking about, you know, not life, thinking about the, you know, outside of life. And I really try to avoid putting myself in that position where I'm just thinking about the next step. I really want to focus on now, right now. But I also want to know about the next step. I want to know about the big picture. So I think, you know, it's important to keep all these things in sight, in view, not just focus on one or the other. They're all important. And what I mean by, like, you know, this life, like giving up everything because you feel that it's not spiritually pure, completely giving those things up. But we are here for a human experience. We're here to do the human thing. And that's really important too. And there's a lot of joy and satisfaction and good feelings in doing that. And, you know, let's not lose sight of that. Let's enjoy that. Let's continue to really, you know, not be scared to fall in love. Not be afraid to let yourself be vulnerable to another. You know, not get too cold and hardened from life experiences. You know how things have, you know, taught you lessons, and you don't want those things to happen to you again. So you build up a big defense so that they never happen to you again. You know, let's not get too caught into that. Always keep your heart and your mind open, because there's so much in this human experience. Now, spiritual experience, on the other hand, you know, understanding that a lot of this is a spiritual journey. You know, it's a spiritual adventure. You know, we're residing in this body, and, you know, it's a small part of a bigger plan. And a lot of us have our own you know, religious beliefs or philosophical principles that we follow through in life that tell us that all of this is part of, you know, something major, something bigger later. You know, whether you're, you know, Buddhist, Taoist, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, you know, there's a master plan. You know, your teachings or philosophies, they're guiding you, and they keep you grounded, and they keep you humble, and let you know that there's, you know, something bigger. So I think that's important too. You know, both sides, to really intensely enjoy and love and be in the moment within your human experience, but also look over the horizon at what's ahead of you. You know, when you look over that horizon, you see over the horizon, over that distance, that, you know, you don't know what's behind it. It's so far, it's so far away that you can't see it. And I think that's an example of what existence is. It's a good analogy to make. Looking over the horizon, so far to the point where you can't see anything anymore, but you know something's over it. And it lets you know your place in everything. Yeah, and where should I go now with this? So yes, I think that's enough for the moment. Maybe I'll do another one of these in the future. It depends on how this one goes and how it turns out, and the type of reaction that I get from it. And also the sun is going away, so maybe that's a cue for me to close things out. So I want to end this by letting you know that I love you and I appreciate you deeply. And I'd really like to know your thought process when you're in nature. What type of downloads do you get? How do you use that information? Are you aware of what you're getting? Because if you're not aware, I think you should be, because there's tremendous power in that. Our entire lives is a spiritual one. Every single thing, every single act, all of it is deeply spiritual. And it's really beautiful. So with that, I'll let you go.